Hello, hello, and welcome back, everyone. Good morning. And we are here for our second panel session on the final day of the final Dare to Be Great. Dare to Be Great 2024. I almost said 2004. 2024. It's been a long week. I'm sorry, people. But we have got an excellent panel discussion here. And I want to say really quick that any questions that you have, please use the QA portion is just right on the left. You can click on the little question mark there, and you can add a question in there, and we'll have a QA afterwards, and we'll go through some of those. So this panel discussion is called Staffing in the 911 World, How to Hire and Develop Quality Employees and Create a Desirable Work Environment to Encourage Lifelong Careers. And we are here with my good friends, Kelley Cunningham and Libby Howland. Take it away.
Hello, hello. First off, before we do introductions, there is a QR code, as you can see on the screen, and that is a view only of our presentation. So if you'd like a copy, go ahead and scan that real quick, and you can save it to your phone. We'll have another opportunity. We have lots and lots of resources for you. We don't want you to reinvent a wheel. If we made it already, we have templates. So we have all those links for you and are willing to share. So I'll give you just a few seconds here if you wanted to grab that QR code real quick. So, all right.
What? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Libby Howland. I am a dispatch supervisor here for Eaton County Central Dispatch in Eaton County, Michigan. So right in the middle for anyone who knows our hand map. I am going into my 15th year of dispatching, and I come from a long line of public safety professionals. I've been a trainer, frontline dispatcher, the training coordinator, and now am a supervisor here at Eaton County.
And I am Kelley Cunningham. I am the Eaton County 911 Director. I have been here for 18 years now. I started as a telecommunicator, CTO, supervisor, deputy director, and now director. Fun fact, I went to college to be an elementary school teacher. And when I graduated, it was in the middle of the recession, and there was about 500 applicants for every one position. So I started looking elsewhere. I started as a telecommunicator, fell in love with the job and all the possibilities, and never looked back at teaching. But I do have to say, I do use some of my teaching skills. You can, be an elementary teacher or run a 911 center. Same thing.
Same thing. All right, so a little bit about us. Again, we're kind of central in our state there in the Lower Peninsula. Our population is about 110,000. We answer 131,000 calls a year. On the floor at any time, we have, or who we have employed here, we have 6 supervisors. We are working supervisors, so we work the floor with our dispatchers. And we have 16 telecommunicators. Along with that, makes our center run. We have our deputy director and director, and then we have 2 front office employees that help us with our day-to-day paperwork and training and planning and communication.
All right. So one thing we want to make sure you all know, no matter your organization size, budget, staffing levels, we have something for you today that you can implement. So some obviously are constricted by budget and your size, but showcasing your organization can be cost-free. So one thing I have in my office is we rise by lifting others. So, the more I encourage my people and lift them and give them the opportunities, not that it matters, but it makes me look good. So, and I have fabulous people, so they all think I'm the greatest person on the outside, right? All right, so setting the stage. It really starts with community interaction. We want to humanize the job. So how we set the stage is our website, social media, monthly reports, annual reports. There is a QR code and a link here that goes right to our Eaton County 911 website. And one thing you'll see throughout the website is our people. So we want to give faces to the people behind the headsets. We want to make sure that we're putting the human touch on our team. We want to connect with the community and let them witness your impact. One thing that Eaton County, we are funded by a millage. So every 5 years, we go to the voters to ask for a renew of our millage, which is our funding. So to make that process easier, throughout the year, we are at a lot of community events. We humanize our people when they do great things. And we'll go more into this, but really, like the Eaton County 911 website or social media, we utilize those things to show the community that we are human, right? And that we have faces behind the headset, and they really get an intimate view of 911 and the people that work here.
All right, so recruitment. When I first started this job, going on 15 years ago, when I applied, there were hundreds of applicants. That is not the case anymore. And I think a lot of our centers know that we are not getting the applicants that we used to. So we've had to be really creative in how we reach out to the public to even let them know that a career in dispatch is possible. And for us here at Eaton County, you need to have a high school diploma. And so there's no additional schooling that you need. We will train you on the job when you get here. And so we have been reaching out to local high schools and colleges to get in those classrooms and talk about a career in dispatch and how it is a possibility. And on our screen there, you will see a couple of our high school interns that we had during their senior year through a program. And after they graduated, we hired them. And so they came into a career with months of knowledge and experience in our center. So that worked out really well for us. We offer internships. They can be working in the front office with our admin staff, or they can be working the floor with our frontline dispatchers. And that experience is really invaluable. We allow sit-alongs, come in, see what the job is. A lot of people don't even know we exist. You know, when I come from a public safety family, but when I told my friends that I am starting this career in dispatch, one of them said to me, well, I thought when I called 911, it just went to the officer in the car. And so I think we've moved on a little bit, hopefully, from that. Thankfully, those TV shows, you know, whether they represent us correctly or not, at least people know that those calls are going to a center, and we are the people who answer them. Get out to the job fairs. High schools have them in our area. Local colleges have them. Get out there and get your face out there so that people know that university or college is not their only option, or trade school maybe is not their only option. We are a good spot right there in the middle. So, and make sure you have promotional material. I think it's in some of our links that we added, but brochures, stickers, our employees, we carry business cards, just Eaton County 911 business cards that says, it was nice to meet you. I think you would be great working in a dispatch center. We give them our card and it provides a link to our website. And, you know, that's kind of like a little boost, like, hey, someone who actually does the job thinks that I might do well at it. And so if you find someone, a lot of what we do is customer service. And so when you see those customer service professionals in the field, hand them a card and say, I think you do great in dispatch.
And one big thing to hit on the internships and sit-alongs, we have expectations from all of our staff that if we have a visitor that's doing a sit-along or we have an intern, that it's all hands on deck. We're all here to talk, tell them our story, how we got where we're at. Also, make them see the big picture of things. Nick and Maddie, they were both our interns. And, you know, I went to Madison's graduation open house. So it's my first employee ever that I get to be invited to their high school graduation open house. But we also celebrate the end of their internship with a cake, and they feel as much a part of our staff as the people that are working here. All right, the hiring process. So this is important. We do have a thorough application, specialized testing, admin interviews, oral boards, background checks, psych evals, and most importantly, a sit-along. So it's all fine and dandy if administration does the entire hiring process themselves, but why not have buy-in? We're a team here, and this is our future coworker, right? So it's important. I also don't have time to sit on the floor for 12 hours every day with them. So these people are going to be in the chair next to the supervisors and telecommunicators working side by side. So it is also important that you have multiple people embedded into this process. So usually we sort through the applications and have them do testing. We use Critical. And then we have an admin interview. You would be surprised. We usually do this virtual, but you can tell them all day till you're blue in the face that you have to work nights, weekends, and holidays, and that we're open 24/7. But the admin interview kind of is just a simple interaction of like, do you know what 911 is? You have to work nights, weekends, holidays. Like, have you prepared? How have you prepared for that type of schedule? You work 12 hours. You could be called in for emergencies. So the problem we were having in the past is we were getting to the oral board, and that is a longer interview, and they don't even know what 911 is or the expectations because they applied for the job and probably didn't read the job posting. So the admin interview really helps with that process. The oral board, we try to implement some different tactics. We have turned radio traffic on in the back very lightly to see if it distracts them, if they notice it, if they can pick up keywords. I know some other centers have used a deck of cards. They want you to answer the oral board questions and sort the cards by suit or by color or number order while you're talking. So those are things that you can kind of get a glimpse at how they handle the multitasking. And then we do have a third party that does our background checks for us. So they fill out all the background and they take care of that part, our psych eval, and then our sit-along. So sit-alongs are very important. If you have a question in mind that someone may struggle with a 12-hour shift, we will have them sit in for 12 hours. But if that's not a concern, we usually do anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours, and we like to kind of have it overlap from a day shift to a night shift so multiple people can have input and interaction. And we do have a whole form so that we can get feedback, and you got to trust your people. So if they have red flags that come up, we listen to them and we look into it. It's not necessarily that they can't be hired, but we're going to have a discussion. We're going to dig deep together. Because again, these people are sitting right next to you on the floor. I get to go to my office. I come visit, right? But it's very, very important that supervisors, CTOs, telecommunicators, even our clerk receptionist and the executive assistant, they have input. So if we're scheduling interviews and someone's being extremely difficult, that's relayed. So we take everything into account to see what's going to be a good fit for our center.
All right, so training. We've hired them, they're in the door. Now we get to do some on-the-job training. So our training program usually takes 6 to 9 months. We answer emergency and non-emergency phone calls, and we dispatch police, fire, and EMS. So we are all rounds. And sorry, our canine facility dog is here. He'll come up later, and hopefully he'll be willing to make an appearance. But so we dispatch for all aspects. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to do a 2-week academy, mostly off the floor. We are going to introduce you to Eaton County. We are going to take you to our campus here, show you where HR is, show you where the sheriff's department and jail work out of. And then we're going to go out. We're going to go out and show you our police departments and our fire stations and our schools and our hotspots so that you can see the things that our citizens are going to be calling about. And you can meet our field responders to be able to go into these stations and, like Kelly's been saying, put a name to the voice, put a face to the voice. It really helps in the way that our center interacts with our field responders. The geo drives, like I said, with us, with one of our training officers. And then we also do ride-alongs throughout the training process where you are actually riding with an officer or you're riding with fire and EMS responding to calls. And that has really helped open our eyes to everything that our field responders are doing, why we check on them after 3 minutes of a traffic stop, why it's difficult to ask an officer to repeat a plate 30 seconds after he gave it to you. We don't do that job. And so it gives us a better situational awareness of what our field responders are doing out there. So when we are through with our 2 weeks off the floor, that is when we go onto the floor with a training officer and you are working right beside the dispatch floor. And we do day shift training. We switch night shift training. We try to get them to every shift, not only so they can meet everybody, but see how, depending on what time of day it is, how we handle situations. We start with basic call intake, getting them on the non-emergency lines. We then move into lean training, which is like our NCIC. We're running people, vehicles, warrants, things like that. We move into fire and EMS next. We then have police dispatch, and then we have a shadow period. We review with them before shadow, any questions you might have, anything you want to go over, and then we put them into the shadow phase. Now, during the shadow phase, you're not supposed to rely on your CTO. We are beyond that. However, you can depend on your partners. We do not work alone. We have minimum 2 dispatchers and a supervisor on the floor at all times. Those numbers go up depending on the time of day, but those are your partners. And, we have veteran people on the floor who ask for assistance when they're working a chase or a big fire or multiple phone calls. So we encourage that in our trainees as well. They are not sitting at a council expected to handle everything by themselves. That's not how we operate. So we don't expect that out of them. We have created a training manual that is complete from start to finish. Any questions you might have, any training that we're going to go over, all of the resources, they are all printed in a folder for them that we give them. We also provide them with iPads if they are more, especially our younger crowd. They are all technology, and where I like a big old notebook and taking notes, some people just want a very simple iPad in front of them, and that's what works for them. So we try to adjust to what works best for them. And then even afterwards, our record management and our resource management, our admin has done a wonderful job. Anything you can think of is in there. And so whether it be a new trainee just starting out and they don't, remember who the animal control officers are, or whether it's a senior employee who needs to look up a board up company, it's all there right on our desktops, and we can look up anything.
One thing to touch on here, so there is a QR code and a link on this page. It goes to our website, particularly our training cadre. You will see the faces of all of our trainers. And then we also have PDF links to our training manuals. So feel free to take a look. If it links somewhere to Power DMS where it's like sensitive information, it's not in there. You won't be able to see that because the link won't work. It's an internal link, but feel free to use whatever you would like out of them. Some of the resources I got from other people. But the biggest thing was I always remember when I was a dispatcher, a trainer, and a supervisor. So I always kind of keep in mind what frustrated me. And, when even with a checklist, everyone's kind of teaching different things and it wasn't standard. Someone would get through training and be like, I never knew that resource was there. So now all CTOs, all trainees, and supervisors have the training manual and can follow it. There's activities, there's all sorts of training ideas in there. But that way we are ensuring everyone's getting the same set of knowledge. Now, may someone do it different than someone else? Absolutely. But we want them to know where the resource is, that it is available for them, and that they are trained on that topic. The other thing, the training program, each step is about 20 DORs. It can be less or more depending on the situation. So we don't have a standardized training just for everyone. We will look at things on an individual basis. We just had a dispatcher that relocated from up north, and she has experience, right? So the biggest things that we're going to have to touch on is our geography, our CAD, and our different policies and procedures. But there is no reason for me to hold her back. 20 DORs for each step would be a lot, and she would get bored. So we adjusted that for her. But then also we have this open door policy. So we have weeklies. You have your daily observation reports, you have your weeklies, and then you also meet with your supervisor every week on top of the CTO. And that really lets us have a conversation. How are you feeling? And there are some people, I had a trainee that wanted more time in lean, which would be like NCIC stuff. And I'm like, your numbers are doing great. You don't need to, but they felt more comfortable. So we added a few more for her just to feel comfortable. And it was more of a self-esteem thing. So we really focused on building her up and letting her know that she's doing a great job and that she does know this. She just needs to believe in herself. So though we have a laid out program, we can customize it to each individual needs. All right, so resources and technology. One of my biggest frustrations as a telecommunicator supervisor is that we would notoriously say, well, we do it this way, but the policy and procedure says this, right?
Right. So sign off on this policy, but this is how we
don't actually do it that way. And so that was always a stress point for me, because I'm supposed to be following the policy procedure, but we don't do it that way. It just hasn't been updated. So we take pride in making sure all of our policies and procedures are up to date. Now, this is very much a team effort. So as we are going through different situations, maybe a policy procedure that we don't use very often, and it comes up, if there's a problem with it, we will discuss it. We will have the supervisors bring it to our attention. But again, we focus on that if there is a conflict or an issue, that we also have a solution rather than just complaining about it. So we work together to keep each other on top of policy procedures. Maybe something has changed, maybe something didn't get updated, and we're on top of it. We also always focus on new innovative 911 technology. The biggest problem right now, as a lot of you probably understand, is there's a lot of different programs. So one thing we're kind of stressing is trying to find programs that integrate with what we already have, so that you're not opening 15 different windows to get the information that you may need for a single call. So we're always on top of that. We have a wonderful technology services. We are a county department, so technology services is actually in our building. They take great care of us and make sure that we're top priority. And along with that, we have a great GIS person. Our center is also in charge of addressing. So when there's a new build or a new address, we literally go out, get an address, give it to GIS, and it is in our CAD within probably 30 minutes. So making sure that the information we have is good and up to date is so important, so that the telecommunicator's job is that much easier. They don't have to sort through resources and references and determine if it's good information or not good information. And then handheld technology-based resources. So we do have the capability, all supervisors have an iPad, and they have resources on there. They have an app that they can open CAD on and monitor what's going on. They also, we use Power DMS for all our policies, procedures. There's an app, it allows them to have access to those. And especially for administration, like being able to open my Power DMS app, get all my policies, procedures, even our union contract. I don't have to get out my computer at home to answer a question and get on the network. I have access to it all there.
All right, so continuing education. The training process is long and tiresome, but when you get off training, your education continues, but it tends to be a little more fun. So some of the things we have listed here, we have our virtual resources, which thank you to the COVID years, we have expanded what we can provide virtually, such as this conference, so that if you are dealing with staffing and budgeting issues, you can still get your people some good education and some good training. Something we do here, we call Sunday scenarios. We pick a topic. It can be anything as small as this new policy just came out. Let's talk about it, discuss what we like, what we don't like, what we might have questions about, all the way to what are we going to do if a plane crashes on the highway? And we role play that with everyone in the room, and questions come up and different ideas come up, and it just gets everybody involved in thinking and looking at policy and procedure, which kind of goes along with our monthly training that we all have to complete. This includes, we do use EMD, so going through an EMD scenario, going through the 2 Sunday scenarios on average that you work a month, anything else that comes up that we need to review and document. We have in-state and out-of-state conference attendance. We encourage people to sign up for what they're interested in, and also sign up for things that you're not so strong in, so that you can get training and education and improve that part of your career. We have incentives for supervisors. We have incentives for trainers. So those that are putting in the work, they are rewarded with those in-state and out-of-state conferences. We are lucky here. We do have a room in the basement. It does have multiple uses, but one thing that we are able to do is host the training. So if you have a facility where you can have an instructor come in, maybe that would be easier to get your people into that classroom, or even allow them to do it virtually. So consider that if you have a building that you could host a training. Critical incident exercises, tabletops, kind of a bigger picture of the Sunday scenarios, where we are working that not only just with our dispatch team, but our tactical team, our fire departments, our EMS, our radio people, our technology people. You could go down a whole long list of things that you could involve in a scenario. One thing that we do here that I think is extremely beneficial is the active violence incidents. And we have run a couple of those where we are doing everything from the 911 call, responders responding, dispatchers are on scene tactically dispatching, there are actors, they're playing out the whole scenario from start to finish. There's a debrief after, what went well, what didn't go well. And you're meeting people from other departments, other agencies. And so it really is, when those incidents happen, you don't want that to be the first time you've ever run through this. Even for example, I remember one of our dispatchers said it was a active violence at a high school, and we knew what we were doing. They knew the call was coming in. But when the call came in and that caller on the other end of the line said, I think someone's shooting at my school, that call taker admitted that was hard to hear. And they knew it was coming. And so you don't want any of those instances the first time they happen to not have gone through it and to not have properly trained your people. So just some out of the box training. I know Kelley loves this slide. I'll let her highlight her photo that she loves, but up there in the top left corner, we actually got to go, they call it alert training here, and well, probably nationwide, the alert training. And so one of our dispatchers, Katie, and I went to that, and we got to see exactly tactically how they approached a building and went inside. I was struck with a rubber bullet. That was very eye-opening. I know that I belong in the dispatch center, and so that is where I will stay. But it was so nice to go out there and meet the officers and see why they sound the way they do on the radio, or why they say the things that we say to them. And, you know, they can know why we do things on our end too. When you're not answering your radio checks, we're going to have some issues, and this is why. And it's just such a good opportunity to see them face to face and talk about those things. We have a couple of our supervisors down there wrangling some pigs. They went to a training where, what do you do if there's an incident and a semi crashes on the highway and we have, 47 pigs running along 96. So just out of the box thinking and ideas and tactics that you can apply to multiple situations. Because we all have them, right? We all have those crazy calls that you're like, well, I've never heard this before, but you can take your training and apply it to that situation.
So I am passionate about training. It might be my elementary education degree, but I love training, not only for myself, but for my people. And going back to the alert training. So what that really is for how officers respond to an active violent incident. Most of the time, dispatch is not thought of to be invited here, but we have built relationships with our responders, and they include us in almost everything, and it's great. And my favorite part about this, other than Libby actually getting shot by a rubber bullet and then proceeding to text me that she's been shot, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Is that they said, are they going to go into a building with a gun during an active violent incident? No, but now they understand. They have an understanding of what those officers are expected to do and what they're doing during that incident. And they even let them try to go through with one of the, was it like a toy gun or like a,
they were training guns.
So they got to go in as they were the officers. But the other part is that they have an opportunity to sit with the officers and discuss their radio traffic. I know Libby shared a story with me that an officer during this training was like, you don't need to, like, why does dispatch need to know? Why do they want to know where I'm at? Like, mind your business type thing. And Libby's like, it's not about us. It's about your command. It's about them being able to know where their people are to make sure they're safe, and where to send the next group of people in. There's a bigger picture. It's not just dispatch trying to be annoying and we want to know where you're at. So we do, our county is next to Ingham County, which is has the capital of Michigan in it, the city of Lansing. So our east side of the county is very busy. The west side, we have Amish buggies. So lots of farm animals. And a part of our emergency operation plan is response to livestock. So if there was an accident involving livestock, what do you do? Now, are my supervisors in this picture going to be deployed out to go wrangle some pigs? Probably not. But they have an understanding of the resource and what is expected. The bottom picture with the supervisors in their black shirts, we do team building exercises. So a lot of times once a year, our supervisor team will go out and we will all do team building exercise. So we went to a ropes course, and it did bring us closer. There was one supervisor that is very scared of heights, and we put her on the low obstacle, and she was not having it, but she did it, and we all cheered for her. We were so happy. And then my favorite picture, because I never in my life thought this would happen, but we're in Michigan. We have a new state flower. Not really, not really, but marijuana is legal in Michigan. And we have part of our county that has a whole area for manufacturing marijuana. And they called me and said, I would like you to come do a tour with your people so that if we call, you understand what is going on here. So we did just that. I know more about marijuana than I thought I would ever know. And the county car did stink after we left, and there was police officers in dispatch when we got back, and their eyes got really big when I walked in, and the very strong odor of marijuana came from me. But it's that kind of things. Local businesses want us to go visit and see exactly what's going on at their facility, so we have a better understanding. So it's really kind of looking at the big picture of things. And the great part is that we are so active in the community and public outreach that it makes it hard for them not to include us. So that's the important part.
So right. You can talk about scheduling.
Okay, so scheduling. Scheduling is we do have union contracts. So the supervisors are unionized and the dispatchers are unionized. We have rotating schedules. They have vacation time, comp time, sick time. Vacation time, they can bank up to 320 hours of vacation. Comp time, they can bank up to 160 hours of comp time, and they can cash that out twice a year. And then sick time, you can bank up to 500 hours of sick time. And once you hit that 500 mark, anything over 500 gets paid out to you in December. So they accrue 80 hours of sick time a year. So if you don't call in sick and you're at your 500, you will get a whole extra paycheck. And then we have overtime coverage and trade. So I think it's so important that they get time off with their family and they get to go do the things they want to do. So I do budget for overtime to make sure that they have their time off, even if it's, going to take a few hours off. I will put overtime out so that they can go watch their kids' sports. And we do very well of working together and covering each other. Another thing that they're allowed to do is trade. So if I need 2 hours here and you need 2 hours here, they can do a trade. But the one thing that is important is up-to-date schedules. So you see the schedule, like it shouldn't be like just like the policies and procedures, like, well, the schedule's not right. Nope, the schedule it's hard to manage sometimes because we are a 24/7 center and you have to have staffing. But the supervisors, myself, and even the telecommunicators all work together to make sure that if they're like personal responsibility too. So I do your schedule, but you need to double check it for me. And if you see any issues, let's talk about it. Especially when you're new, you can't take vacation per the union contract for 6 months, but we can work around that. You have a wedding, okay, we can adjust your training. Maybe you go with another trainer for a certain day. We'll get you on a ride along. But those events are very important. Making sure that they can spend time with their family. You can't make everything work all the time. But we do a good job of covering it and making sure that that they're allowed to be off rather than being like, sorry, it's going to create overtime. You can't be off.
Right. We do have some parameters about, to use comp time. You can't create overtime. So there are things boundaries that we have to stay within. However, if your people come to you and need time off, and especially if they have figured out a way to do it, then let them do it. They're out there covering for each other. And hey, if you are going to take that vacation time, I'll pick up the overtime for you, or I can trade you a couple hours or something like that. And so our team does a really good job of working together to make sure everyone gets what they need.
Also planning. So just as important as your life outside of here is important. We do shift picks in September for the year prior. And once year ahead, mm-hmm. Sorry. And once that is done, we do vacation picks, and you can still request time off throughout the year. But you're guaranteed a primary vacation week. No one's going to bug you, guaranteed to have it off. And we do that ahead of time. So you know your schedule for a year in advance, which is very helpful, allowing people to plan their family vacations and things that they have going on.
All right, opportunities outside of the center. We have a lot of teams here at Eaton County that are mostly run by supervisors, and then frontline dispatchers are a part of them. It makes them feel included, important, puts a face to their name, and it's also fun. You know, we don't want to come in here for 12 hours and just sit at a console if we can help it. Get them out, get them doing some different things, make it a little more exciting for them. We have a public relations team headed, you probably can't see him because he's so tired. His job is so hard. This is Hutch. So we do have a canine facility dog, and so he's here for us in the center. He's also a deployable resource, so he can go other places if anyone needs him. The kids love him in the schools. He goes to the parades. He goes to the open houses. And it's a great way, you know, if you have a dog, it doesn't matter what you're trying to sell. People are going to come and talk to you. So, you know, we use Hutch as the bait, and then we educate people about 911. We do have our public education team, and that can involve anything from going into a kindergarten classroom and teaching them about 911 and the field responders who will respond to their emergency, all the way up to we'd like to expand it to nursing homes, and why do we ask the questions we ask when you call, and to stores about, hey, this is the most efficient way to call in if you have a medical emergency or a retail fraud or something. Getting out there and educating people about why we do what we do is going to make that phone call that they have to make one day much more efficient on both ends of that phone line. Everyone's going to benefit from that. Another thing is, you know, we still do kind of see it in the classrooms, is the perception of public safety and how sometimes it cannot be the greatest. And we've gone through some up and downs, but if we can get to these kids young and teach them about public safety and what we do, and that our field responders are there to help and to not be afraid of them, hopefully we can keep that change going towards positivity. We have a group of dispatchers and supervisors who are certified as child passenger safety technicians. So, you know, when I had my kiddos, there wasn't a resource like that for you to take your car seat there and ensure that it was installed correctly and your little babies would be okay. And so now it was an extensive 40-hour training that multiple dispatchers and supervisors committed to, and they went and they are trained, and you can set up an appointment and come in, and they will install your child's safety seat properly and give you that reassurance. One of our supervisors is Hutch's main handler. She went through all the training and got him certified and takes great care of him. Grandma. I wasn't going to say it, but it doesn't make sense if I don't. Oh. We have Grandma here. Kelley is our second handler. Mom's on vacation, so that's why Hutch is hanging out here.
She calls me Grandma because he gets excited to come to my house. Yes. So I'm not old enough to be a grandma.
Old to dog, don't worry. We do have our CTO team that trains all of our incoming people and takes them out into the public and gets them acquainted with Eaton County and the way we do things. Those are kind of the things we do at our center to get them out. There are 911 committees, local government collaborations in all of your areas. You know, reach out to Nina, reach out to APCO, reach out to your states about different committees that you can get involved in, and, you know, join a meeting virtually, or look for an area of expertise that you can join and just send in what you have. You know, we get it. Budgeting and staffing are sometimes hindrances to being able to do all of these things. But reach out to your local chapters and figure out ways that you can get involved and start the process of getting your people out of the center more.
And just to touch on a few things, like the child passenger safety technician, we had a lot of public calling dispatch asking for this resource. And since people were asking and law enforcement used to provide it, but they're short staffed and they didn't have the resources to have people do it anymore. So we are sitting pretty here. I'm knocking on wood, but so we sent people to do that. We do events. They can also schedule online. And we have a whole team that works together on that. And when someone calls and needs one done, they manage that themselves. Also, the great thing, the facility canine. So Supervisor Nunham came to me and said, I think could we talk about a facility dog? And I said, do the research, get it the information, and then I want you to present it to the Board of Commissioners. I thought it was going to be a drawn out process, but she was on it and got all the information, and literally like 2 weeks later presented to our Board of Commissioners, and they didn't even hesitate. They're like, yes, okay, let's do this. But like even that right there, she wanted to be a part of it. I'm not going to do the work for you. Like you need to see all these steps I have to take when we want to make a budget amendment or do something like this. So it's really, you know, growing your people and making sure that they see the big picture of the 911 industry and all the things that they can provide. And again, we take lots of pictures here because we have a annual report we do that is, we call our yearbook. So all my people are really good at taking pictures for me. But where you see the guy with the pink megaphone, they were actually at a college filming a felony stop via video for the class, so for their academy. And they asked dispatch to be a part of that and be the voice in the video. So that was a filming day. And then the far one where all the girls are all over Hutch there, our local fire and police department in one of the communities does the Mothers Against Drunk Driving right before prom. And it was a demonstration of how they cut out patients from the vehicle and stuff. But I brought Hutch, and he obviously was loving the attention. So supervisors, I am very, very, very passionate about supervisors and the importance they are in this center. So you have to have supervisor expectations. So good supervisors take you to incredible heights. They help you learn to fly, provide the wind beneath you, and provide a net for when you fall. Being a supervisor is not an easy job. You are literally the in-between the telecommunicators and admin. You know, they have to listen to admin, they have to listen to their telecommunicators, and they have to be positive in nature doing both of those, and it's not always easy. So one thing also, when I was a supervisor, I felt like a glorified babysitter. I felt like I had no decision making, and I was just there to watch them and let admin know when they made a mistake. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to be the leaders that they are. So we set supervisor expectations. So I have expectations for my supervisors, but my supervisors also have expectations for their shifts. They work together to make sure that, you know, not one supervisor is expecting more from one shift than the other, but it's just little things. If you don't know what's expected of you, how can you do that, right? We do quarterly check-ins. Make it normal for you and your supervisor to have talks and talk about their goals. You know, Libby brought to me that she's like, I think I want to teach. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, if you want me to help you, I'll be more than happy to help you. Look at us now.
Look at us now.
So also annual reviews. And we are in the process of that now. We do them in December. And we talk about strengths and weaknesses, but also you're setting goals and intentions for next year. Where do we want to go? Long-term, short-term, and this is where you can talk to your telecommunicators like, I think you'd be a great trainer. I think you'd be a great supervisor. Are you interested in that? Maybe you're not ready right now, but here's what we're going to do this year to make sure you're on track for that in the future. It's really developing careers and setting goals and setting intentions. Let's say they don't want to promote. That's fine. But there's other things they can be involved in. And we all go through different seasons in life. And it's just important that we support each other, even during the good seasons and the bad seasons, and kind of help them get over that hump. They need consistent feedback. We say if you promote it, you're allowing it. So if someone is doing something wrong, you need to tell them. You have to have feedback. And then we do focus on strength-based leadership. So at the end of the year, again, we had supervisor meeting and we talked about strengths and weaknesses. But again, we talk about that as a whole. So the supervisors understand each other's strengths and weaknesses and what resources are available. So Libby's really good at X, Y, and Z, and that's where someone struggles. So use her. She's a resource. Let her help you. All right. So again, we wanted supervisors to have special assignments and be a part of a bigger thing. They take ownership of their teams and they are in charge of them. They lead them. They schedule meetings, they schedule staffing, they do all the communications. So as a director, having all these teams is a lot of work. So that is why it's important that the supervisors all have kind of ownership, because we want to get people out and in the public, and we want them to be a part of the bigger thing. Nothing warms my heart more than when we're at a public relations event and someone says, hey, my house caught on fire 2 years ago. I just want to thank you. I didn't think about it at the time because obviously they're going through a lot, but like you were really the calm voice, and just, you go in parades. And we have a 911 Tahoe that has the thin yellow line on it. It says Eaton County 911. It has lights, and we wave in the parade. And sometimes I got police officers in front of me and they're kind of like giving them a side eye. And then they're like, oh, 911. And they're so happy and wave. I'm like, oh, hey, glad you're happy. So we have different things: public education team leader, public relations team leader, training coordinator, facility K-9 holder, tactical dispatch leader, our lean tac, fleet supervisor. So we have 3 cars, and having one person in charge of making sure the oil changes and they're properly maintained is helpful. We also manage, so our center does, with a surcharge funding, provide all radios to all first responders. So we have to maintain that list, update them. My deputy director does a lot of the radio stuff, but we also have a supervisor because we need to have a succession plan. If my deputy director is not available, I have someone else that specializes in radios, and then quality assurance. So these are crucial to make sure everything works, because again, administration can't do it all. There's not enough time in the day to get this all done.
All right, so making our center our home. A lot of us can relate to being at work sometimes more than we're at home. So make it a good place to be. We are a medium size, some might say smaller center here. And so I know everybody's kids here. Everybody knows my kids here. They're growing up together. They have parents in this industry together. They can relate to each other. Kelley's kids babysit my kids. My kids go to school with another dispatcher's kids. And so it's nice that even they have a built-in network of these adults that can relate to them and they can trust and will take care of them. Let them come to the events. They come to all of our events with us. They go to parades. That's my oldest down there in the bottom left-hand corner, educating kids about 911 at a fire open house. And it's amazing how he can grab their attention better than we can. We have one of our dispatchers who is a transplant from Delaware. And so when her family comes to visit, they come to the center and they hang out with us and they see what she does day in and day out when she's away from home. Our clerk, her little boy, wanted to have his birthday with us. So we made treats and we dressed up and he came up and had his birthday. And then Kelley's girls are superstars and, you know, they're all over all the public relation events and relating to the middle school and high school kids. So having our families around, our parents, our grandparents, our kids, we're all in this together. And so having that relationship with each other makes coming to work even easier. Allow visitors, whether that be your family, whether that be our field responders, whether that be the Girl Scouts, whoever it is, bring them into our center and show them what we do. Appreciation events. We do have our annual awards here that Kelley works very hard at. That link to our 911 page will show you all of the awards that we give out every year and a description of all of them. So we all get together and do that. The fire departments in our area also allow us a night out together. And so for the last couple of years, we've been bowling. So we can go bowling. You can bring one guest. Food's provided, bowling's provided, and it's just a chance to hang out with each other outside of here. Communication center decor. We are lucky enough, we did just do a revamp of our center. It's beautiful. We have customized signs. Our picture of everyone who works here is in our hallway. We have a tree of life for life-saving awards and Stork Awards. We have pictures of our field responders, of things that we have actually done out in the field up on our walls. We have sayings that, Kelley has coined, and it's part of our training program now. And so those are up on the wall. Pictures of our family, why we do what we do, why we're here, put them up and decorate your center like you would decorate your home and make your people proud to be here. Open door communication and hierarchy of titles, buy-in from everyone. That kind of all goes together. We all have our titles, and we like to say that because of your title, you have different responsibilities. We don't view it as necessarily a ladder. Is there a time and a place where decisions have to be made and somebody has more authority than somebody else? Yes, but we try to think of titles as just different responsibilities. We want everyone to feel comfortable voicing their concerns, open door communication. You can come to me, with any questions you might have, and laying out your expectations at the beginning of anything. When you start a new trainee, when you get a new shift in the year, when you transition to a different position, make sure you're putting your expectations out there and what you expect, and then get to know your people. Do your people want to be corrected on the floor in front of everyone? Some people say yes. They say, if I'm making this mistake, maybe somebody else is. Another person might say, that really makes my anxiety super high when you say, hey, Frank, can I see you in the office for a minute? And, that riddles with them with anxiety. So get to know your people, how they react to coaching, training, correction, things like that, so that they do feel comfortable coming to you if they have a concern and they know how you're going to react. I really do think Kelley is absolutely correct. Your supervisors are going to set the morale in your center. They are the link between admin and your dispatchers. And so making sure they are trained, positive, proactive, that is going to set the tone for the entire center. And so there really does have to be buy-in from everybody. When a supervisor goes to admin and say, hey, dispatch has this concern. When dispatch says, hey, I'd like you to talk to admin about this concern. And knowing that we all have each other's back and we want what's best for everybody. The buy-in is super important. Work-life balance. Sorry, I was catching up there for a minute. Kelley did kind of talk about how we do have flexible schedules. We are very lucky to have comp time, vacation time. We get to go to training, things like that. We do encourage mental health days. Those are sick days. And that kind of goes along with our mental health support, being trained for the things you're going to see and the things you're going to hear. Having a proper debrief when those things do happen. Hutch helps with that. He's very good at recognizing when an incident is happening or he is needed. Making sure our people know about peer support and also how to get to them. We have an EAP here. We do have an on-call psychologist. We have a peer support line that people can call 24 hours a day. So as much as having those resources, you also need to make sure people know about those resources and knowing your people and knowing when to check up on them and knowing when maybe they're not okay. And so those pictures there kind of just remind us that we all either have kids at home, family at home, dogs at home. We want you to be just as happy and healthy in the center as you are at home and working with you to balance those things.
All right, so morale is kind of when I took over as deputy director, we had a morale issue, and I was probably annoying. And one of the big things that I did is a gratitude journal, and I put it out to all the employees, like, hey, if you can do this for 2 weeks, find something positive, find 5 things positive every day that you work and write it down. And I'm happy to report that Libby still to this day does it. And we're like 5 years in. Yeah. So the biggest thing is if you only look for the negative, that's all you're going to see. But if you start finding positivity and things that are good, you'll change your view.
You'll retrain your brain. Mm-hmm. It's science, people. It's science. Positivity.
And also, if you have a complaint, fine. But let's talk about a solution. So you need to be as much a part of that process as you expect the admin to be. So you can't just come and say, I'm mad about this. Okay, well, let's talk about it. What do you want? What do you have a different idea? So it's called our annual yearbook. There is a link. I also have a template for you on a different slide at the end here. And you can take that template and use anything you would like. You can change it. It won't hurt my annual report at all. So you can take out my pictures, you can take out my logo, all that stuff. No reason to reinvent it. We take the yearbook and we all sign it, and we keep one copy safe and sound with all of our signatures. Yep. So it's a book, and it keeps getting bigger every year. So I have to budget appropriately for that. Social media, we recognize our people. Website, you'll see our people's faces there. We take pride that we get professional headshots for our employees so that we can also present our employees as this is a career and this is a profession to the public. We have yearly awards that we implemented. We have headset boxes. So there is this is mine. I don't have too many on it, but I have my years of service stickers, the teams I'm on. We did have an AVI situation at our neighboring county that we helped with, so everyone got a sticker for that. But I have the templates for the stickers. I made them on Canva, and I just sent them to Sticker Mule, and it is pretty inexpensive. The boxes for Amazon, again, it's not very expensive, and it's one way. We kind of look at it as the football helmet. So, when you get a good play, you get a sticker on your football helmet. And that's what that is. Also, it's on their desk. So it's a good talking point when responders come up, like, what did you get this Stork Award for? Tree of Life, we do celebrations, gratitude journal, high fives. Also, we call the media. When we do good things, why not let the public know, let the media be a part of it. And then again, we always focus for opportunity for growth.
So pride in our center. We do wear uniforms here. We are pretty lax in them. We can pick out which styles and colors that we want for ourselves, but we walk around with our Eaton County 911 uniforms on, and we wear them proudly, and we have stickers of Hutch, and we have challenge coins, and we want our people to be proud of where they work. And so we give them things to share with people and to show where they work and to talk about where they work. We do have a room downstairs where we can host trainings. Please come to our center, explore, come up to the dispatch floor, ask questions, invite visitors, whoever it might be, your family, the field responders, your local representatives, bring them up here and invite your elected official, bring them up, show them what we do, ask them for some money. I'm just kidding, but we can host a podcast. Shout out to our host here. There's a bunch of different options. Now my kids were on a podcast that talked about what it meant to have your parent as a first responder, and they were hilarious. And so look for those different opportunities. They're fun, and they give you an opportunity to talk about your center more and be proud of your people. Kelley is super good at cleaning and making sure we have the best amenities. She's like one of those like at home moms where they're like, okay, somebody pick up the kitchen. Never mind, I'll just do it myself. And so we're always grateful when Kelley gets on a cleaning kick because she's so meticulous and makes our center look so good. We do have workout equipment here. We are allowed to walk around the room. We have equipment that we can put at our desk and walk or ride. We have quiet debrief rooms where you can go, relax, watch a little TV, sit in maybe a more comfier chair or couch. And then we do have overnight accommodations, whether it be, we have some people that drive over an hour to work every day. We have weather. We have had some pretty big incidents in the last couple of years where maybe your people don't want to leave, but they need to leave or they need to sleep. And so Kelley has arranged beds in the basement, towels, bathroom supplies, clean linens to make your people comfortable here with whatever they're doing. They spend half their life here sometimes. And so being proud of the place you work and being comfortable in the place you work is very important.
All right. So we're coming to an end. I'm sure we could talk a lot longer, but we are already past schedule. But these are our resources. So our website has a lot of good information on it. Annual report template. Again, you can take that template, put whatever you want in it. It will not affect mine. Award stickers. So all the stickers I made are on there. You can take out the logo. You can change whatever you would like. Again, not going to mess with my stickers. So public education. So one thing we talked about public education, but Libby actually created a public education manual so that we have some standardization throughout what we're teaching at the schools. And then we have presentations for the schools. So again, you can use those templates, change whatever you'd like. And then our links to all of our training manuals. So what we want is for you to be able to use our resources, ideas, and we're happy to help and get these implemented because we want the best for the 911 industry, and why make someone work for it if it takes a lot of time. So if we have the resources, we might as well share them. So again, we can share our presentation. I'm going to go to the next slide. Just here's our contact information. If you have any questions, comments, we'd love to help. And that is a picture of Libby and I at a public relations event where the school was face painting. So we joined in on the fun.
That's right. I know.
And I will go back to this one just in case anyone wants to snag anything off of this.
We lost Ricardo.
No, I'm here. I was just waiting.
Oh, there he is.
I was just waiting.
Or something.
Well, excellent work. We've got a few questions in here. You've got all the QR codes there. I think that was one of the questions. Yeah, it said at the end, can you put up a larger QR code on the screen for the training stuff? It was a little too small to scan, even using full screen. So we've got all the information there, but it's those main ones are on the Eaton County 911.org site, right?
Correct. Yep. The training manuals are all on our website. Just because so many people were asking for it, so it was the easiest way to share it. And then the templates on the left-hand side, those are all through Canva, and you can change whatever you would like in them.
Perfect. And then, so the next question, how long would you say it took you to get to this point of a healthy culture at your center?
When did you get promoted?
I would say, so here's the thing. It's not an easy process. And when you start putting expectations on people and saying, like, we don't want the negativity here. We want to come to work and we want to enjoy it. There's no reason to come to a toxic environment. And people will leave. I'm telling you right now, people don't want to be a part of a positive environment, and it takes some growing pains. I would say about a good 2 to 3 years till, and you see, but you got to focus on the small goals, right? Like you see small things that you're accomplishing and changing, and it's just like it takes work, and it can't just be administration. It has to be everyone. Most importantly, the supervisors. They're on the floor with the telecommunicators, and they know what's going on. They know if there's an issue. They know if they're upset. So we can't just ignore it, and we have to all work together. And we've been preaching it for so long now that it's just kind of second nature. And I'm not saying that we don't have our bad days or our days where someone is mad, but we easily overcome it because they know the process. Like, okay, let's talk about it. Let me hear what you said. We have annual dispatcher meetings in December, and we talk about like what's going well, what do we need to fix, and we set goals for the next year. We just had ours. They used to be like, completely honest, a bitch fest, and like came at admin, and you're always like, oh, they're literally this year they would like more coffee in the bathroom, a little bit cleaner, but I don't clean the bathroom.
And the county will let us buy coffee.
So I think we're doing okay.
Yeah. And it's important too to remember that you can want to do a lot of things, but maybe you don't know how. And so that's okay too. But putting your intentions out there, I want to be a better supervisor. I want to communicate better. I want to discipline better. I want to mentor better. You have to send them to training so they can learn how to do it. And I think that too is why, yes, it's such a long process too, because, it's easy to just say, well, just be happy, just be positive, write in a journal. Okay, well, it's not that easy. And, we have to, I really do think when you get good admin in there who recognize how they want their center to look, you then have to train your supervisors, because they're the link, right, between what admin's vision is and getting your frontline to buy in and make it happen. Train that supervision line, and then encourage everyone below them to be positive, to learn how to have adult conversations, have open communication, go to training, find your strength. It's okay that maybe you're not the best at this, but I think you're really strong here. So letting your supervisors kind of see their strengths and weaknesses and guide them. And I really do think training your supervision staff is the first step.
All right, excellent. So the next question, well, actually the next two questions are kind of similar, but I'm gonna go over them either way here. So the first one here is, how important is it to promote your crew and your center to the community to humanize that voice within the trenches of 911?
How important is it to promote your crew and your set? I think it's super important. I mean, I think how much we get recognized by admin, and then them allowing us to go out into the public and see how much the public loves us, that makes us feel good. When you feel good, you do good. And we really, discipline is a strong word. Like, we kind of don't like to use that word here. We coach, we mentor, we redirect. Now, are there instances sometimes where there is going to be discipline? Yes, absolutely. But we don't want our staff, even supervision from admin and then dispatchers from supervision, to be afraid and for them to think, I better do this right or I'm going to get in trouble. I better do this right or I'm going to get written up. No, I want to do this right. I want to do a good job. I want to feel good. And when I do a good job, I know I'm going to be recognized for it, whether it's admin, the media, social media, just an internal high five, like, hey, I saw you take this call and you did a really good job. Shouting your people out right on the floor. Who cares? Every time they take a phone call, tell them, hey, you did a really good job on this, and this is why. So other people, can hear it. And when the positivity outweighs, I won't say the negativity, but maybe the redirection or the growth that's needed, that's what's going to prevail. And so I think if your people feel good and know that they're valued, they're going to do good.
I did think it was funny. I was at a store in regular, not dress clothes. I probably looked like a scrub. It was a Saturday morning. And someone came up to me and was like, you're the 911 director. I saw you on the internet. I was like, okay, this is weird. It's like, I went to, I plan our Michigan APCO and NINA conference, and I went to a not related to 911 industry at all. It was more about like venues and stuff for conferences. And the lady I'm talking to her, she's like, I know you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, you're the 911 director. I live in Charlotte. I see you on the internet all the time. I was like, try not to share my own face, okay?
Oh, that is excellent, and would be kind of weird too, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is.
To have that happen.
I have to behave.
So this kind of tacking on what we were just kind of talking about here, we've got a question from someone that says, we're under the sheriff's office and they don't seem to like social media or community outreach. Do you have any suggestions to get a buy-in? Ooh.
I say show them the benefits. Show them the benefits. I think that our admin does an excellent job. And, especially with the public education part of it that I am very passionate about, a lot of times it is an industry of public safety as a whole. And so when I am going into these classrooms or going to job fairs or going into businesses to teach them how to call 911 efficiently and why we do what we do and we're not delaying services, the field responders benefit from that. Absolutely. When staff at the medical care facility is not super irate because they were on the phone with dispatch for 7 minutes thinking that the ambulance wasn't on the way for 7 minutes. They're much more pleasant when our field responders, walk in the door, and they have a better experience because we were more efficient on the phone and our citizens are better educated. That's kind of like the emotional side of it, I guess you could say. Also, but there's tactical proof too about what we can do.
Your sheriff is an elected official. You're only helping them, getting their name out. So use that as a selling point. Say, hey, come election time, don't you want them to have know who you are and show all the great things you do? So I'm not an elected official. So, but the sheriff is, and then you are also selling his name and helping with his campaign. So indirectly.
Right. Indirectly.
Yes.
We support all public safety.
That's a perfect way to put it. I dig that. All right. Excellent. The last question here, and this one was kind of my own just because I can't help but talk about this that you have. But how much of a difference does your yearbook make for the community and other agencies to see the important work that your center does?
Oh, everyone loves our yearbook. We take it to different agencies that we serve, different communities. We make it available to them. We put it on our website. But it is a good talking point, and people are always talking, like they bring it up and want a copy. And it's the big thing of like recognizing our people and all the teams they do, all the hard work they do, them out like under the headset, but also in the community. And again, when I have to go and talk to all these communities about renewing our millage, they know who we are. And I hold up the book and show them all the great things we do. I mean, how can you vote no for that? Come on.
And, even if it never left this building, even if it was just an internal document, it's like your family photo albums that, probably don't exist for most of us anymore. Or, your Facebook albums where you're going through and you're reliving all the great things that you do in there. And our families are in there. Our field responders are in there. Our life-saving awards are in there. So sometimes you do get caught up in the, Kelley's famous for, it's just my job. It's just my job, when she gets praise, but it's not. And so to have all of that stuff in one place and to see how we are a team and all the things we've done together throughout the year, it's just super cool. So even just an internal morale boost, even if it never left here.
And it's kind of like your resume per se, like, oh, this year, we also do milestones. So like 5 years, 10 years, 15. So there's a whole page dedicated to years of service or retirement. Like that's a good thing to take with you as you retire and like, oh, you look back on it and look at my retirement and all that stuff. So it's kind of also a history book.
Sweet. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you both very, very much. And for everyone who's here, I mean, I was just reading everything in the comments and stuff as it was going through. And I'm glad that you have this slide alone with all of your guys' information, how to do certain things. Cause yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel and you're not gatekeeping anything. You're right there. It's like you want to make sure that the profession continues to grow and evolve. And also when it comes to the staffing and everything, just to see how you're doing it will inspire others to hopefully do the same. Because for those who are watching and listening, when I was there with them and we were talking and there were folks who had come from other agencies, like people are trying to go there just because the culture alone. I mean, when I walked into your center and saw, well, not even in the center, just the hallway of the building walking in, which looked exactly like my center. I always say my old center that I was in. But just that main hallway before walking into the actual center. I mean, you've got all of your pictures there and of everyone. And it felt like I was at home. It felt so welcoming and all. And it's just a really cool thing to be able to go in and feel that welcomed. And so kudos to all of you and the work that you do. And thank you very much for this panel discussion.
Thank
you guys.
All right, folks, we are going to be jumping over to the next one. And the next session is going to be, the panel discussion is going to be in the Nina Wellness Program. And we've got Roxy Van Gundy back, as well as Courtney Dauberstein and Cassie Sexton. We'll be jumping to that here in just a moment. And we will see you all here in the next one.